We think too much and feel too little.
Gus German here wants to adopt the country. Oblige him.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
What did they put in your kibble this morning?
Yo, Adrian, let me rock you.
Why do you suppose I just hurled a chair at your head, Neiman?
Why so serious?
This is the guy behind the guy behind the guy.
I think everybody knows the guy behind the guy behind the guy is somebody's wife. We've got Senator Jeff Howe in the program. Senator, how are you, my friend?
Terrific, and that is a true statement. You know, the wife is the one that drives everything, isn't it? That if you got a good spouse, she just makes you good.
Well, yes and no. You got to go with the flow, and sometimes they don't. Here, I'm going to share, if you don't mind, some personal stuff between you and I. I don't know that we've met face to face. We've done the show many, many times. I know I have not met your wife. And my wife and I do this thing, or have been doing it for a couple of years now, where we go pick a town, an area, and just go spend a weekend and just kind of feel it out. I mean, at some point when we retire, we think maybe we'll get a little closer to the cities where our kids are at now. If not, we're fine, at a 2.5 mile hour radius of the cities. So anyway, St. Cloud fits in that, and it's a great radio station up there that carries us. So why don't we pick St. Cloud? So so we're going to spend the weekend up in St. Cloud. I said I'd like to invite the guys from the show that come on a regular and go have a beverage, meet you and your spouse. And, my wife goes, that's a great idea. Let's do that Friday night. So I don't know. We're going to get up there 4, 5, 6. It depends on how quickly I can get out here. So I emailed you, Putnam, O'Driscoll. Would y'all like to just get together, have a cocktail, do smoke a cigar? Because that's what a guy does. And you were very nice. Yeah, my wife would be there. Driscoll's going to be there. Putnam might be out of town. Fine. Then my wife, well, what is the plan? I invited them. We're going to have a beverage. And that's the plan. You never met these people before. That's the plan. We're just going to drive into town and just be somewhere. I said, well, I kind of hinted about the golf course because I could smoke a cigar in the porch. And she goes, Howe's wife would like to sit next to you smoking a cigar. Is this something you got by somebody? And I'm like, well, no. I've messed this up from day one, Senator. I hope I didn't oversell it. It was some big deal. My wife and I are coming to town. You want to have a cocktail? I'm bad at this.
We'll make this happen. We'll figure it out. The thing is my wife is used to that.
Why?
we've gone to Italy a couple times from my R&R from Iraq.
Okay.
Totally without a plan. We're going to meet at the airport at this time. Show up. I'll see you there. And then everything else, you just make sure that you got good stitching in your rear end because you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're just making it happen.
See, but that is what would be a very cool holiday. And that actually could be quite exciting, not knowing we're going. The idea that I invited a bunch of state senators and people, the radio station guys, to show up at no place at no particular time and thought I did well. My wife is not impressed. No, I'm sure she'll like it, but.
We'll commute. That's, the invention of these cell phone deals. We can make this happen.
On the fly. Okay. If you or your wife are expecting more than what I just explained, then I oversold it because this is all I have planned so far. I'm leaving town Friday to go to St. Cloud. That's the
figure
plan.
It out. And if you need places to go eat, good ideas, places to go eat, we can figure that out too.
See, and I wouldn't mind and folks listening in St. Cloud, send me an email, al@altravishow.com. Right now, I'm going to be completely honest. Some people get mad, but New Prague, have you been to New Prague?
Not in my memory.
We spent a weekend in New Prague, and cool old downtown that my wife really likes, stuff like that. Really cool old downtown. And they had a restaurant, 1913, whatever it was. It's a cool bar / great smoked food. Oh, my God. Fantastic. That's leading the cause right now for retirement. Now, I don't want to get them excited because much like planning this weekend trip, that's how far I got planned my retirement. But right now, New Prague has got to be one of my favorite good golf course. I'm leaning toward New Prague. So free shout out to New Prague. I'm not ripping anybody else, but there you go.
Yeah, you got a lot of time. You got time left to go visit a number of places and go visit and good eats.
We try about one a month.
Golf courses.
About once a month, we go off someplace, especially in the wintertime, can't get here, and just go visit town. So we'll get to your town soon enough. Let's talk some work. I'm being given all this weird conversation about what's going on with Secretary of State Steve Simon. We've talked before that he didn't want to give over the voter rolls because, and I don't get that. Personally, I don't. The federal government has everything that the state government has in my voter rolls. My name, my social security number, where I live. The federal government's got it. I have no clue why we have to fight it, but we are. Then he comes out with this thing he wants to get passed called the Voter Purge Protection Act. And I had to look it up, and basically this thing says there'll be a federal law that you can't purge someone from the voter rolls unless you have really great proof they're dead or they moved. How?
What happens if they're just not a citizen?
What?
Isn't that in the mix?
Well, I don't know why that's not in the mix, but but here's the thing, Senator. So my dad passes 4 months ago, right? I've been using this all week long. He dies 4 months ago. The state made a death certificate. They and you had to buy a certain number of them to hand out to different insurance companies, whatever, the proof that he was gone. So they created a death certificate. Why don't they send that to Simon's office and say, hey, we know he's passed. We just had him paid $10 to get 10 copies, and it's done. Why? What ultimate proof do you need? Do I need to seriously go through all my dad's stuff and then remember Steve Simon and say I better send him a note, let him know Dad passed? That's got to be automatic.
Keep in mind, you got the Secretary of State's office has some real issues. One, that's probably one of them. But our whole state government right now are all siloed. They don't talk to one another, right? We see that in the fraud stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Nobody cross-talks to check who's on what list so we can prevent this. Same type of thing happens at the Secretary of State's office. In fact, if you own a business and you're registered with the Secretary of State's office, I could go in there and say now, and I could change that to where I'm the owner, and they don't check anything. Okay, here, take me your money, change that. Now...
There's an old rep up in Mankato, and his name's escaping right now. Had that happened to him? They just took over his company. They just said, "I'm running this thing now." On that same line, though, this is your fraud thing, and you're Mr. Doge. We gave $20 million to nonprofits in 2024 that weren't even registered nonprofits. They didn't even register. What is the bare minimum we have to send a check to somebody? They don't have to have a working ID number with the state of Minnesota. We don't even ask that.
I don't understand, how these folks actually think that they're functioning in their roles in what they play in the state. I use this quite often. I had a constituent that actually went in. She was convinced by others that because she had a green card, she could vote. And so she went into the polling place, and of course they're usually backed up. There's usually a line. She got in the line. She filled out the little card, and they gave her a ballot, and she voted. Well, she voted. So then she's registered, right? So then 2 years later, that was 2016, 2018, she voted again.
Yep.
And then her and her husband had retired. And they decided that they were going to go traveling, and it might be easier if she was a U.S. citizen. So she filed for citizenship.
Okay.
Guess what?
That flag.
They were going to deport her back to where she hadn't been for 35 years.
Unbelievable.
And she went, "Wait a minute, I filled out the paperwork." They went and checked. They found out that she didn't lie. She marked that she wasn't a citizen. But because in the rush of things, the election judge missed it on this same day registration stuff, and she voted. Now, if she wouldn't have applied for citizenship, she could have voted in Minnesota for the rest of her life.
No. See, and it goes back to why, if you want someone here illegally to have a driver's license, they voted that in. You got it. Why in the world did the driver's license not look a scotch different? Ours are horizontal. Make theirs vertical so that when presenting that to the person at the voting booth, if you wanted to, I'm sorry, sir, that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? We couldn't even do that smallest thing. Put a star on it. It does. We did nothing to help that fraud. Here's what got me. So they Kristen Robbins, Representative Robbins, and I had a committee. They were looking into this, had Simon's people there and that sort of thing. And their people said, and this is what's crazy, and I'm using Sammy Davis Jr. because of Putnam. So let's say Al knows Sammy Davis Jr. is still in the rolls in Minnesota. I know he's dead, but he's still in the rolls. I can go to my polling place, say, hey, I'm Sammy Davis. Well, Al, you're not Sammy Davis. No, I'm Sammy Davis. I'll sign my name, Sammy Davis. They have to let me vote, and then I put my vote in the machine, and they come back 2 months later and say, Al, we found out you're really not Sammy Davis. Oh, you're right. Do something to me. The vote's already in the mix. They can't get it back out of the mix. The mix is in the mix, and now Sammy's vote counts. How is that the system we run today?
We are one of 3 states that does not have provisional ballots. Now, especially if you have same-day registration, we should have provisional ballots. So you get the vote, we put your ballot in the sleeve, and when your information is verified, then it counts. And if we can't verify it within the time that we're supposed to count those ballots, guess what? It doesn't get counted because you didn't register in time to get it done. So, but provisional ballots will check that. We'll make sure that the information is correct. And that way, the verification is the same whether you register 6 months ahead of time or the same day. But the verification process should be the same, and currently it is not.
See, and then this provisional ballot, people think this is you're taking away someone's right to vote. No, if you can't prove you literally get the vote, is a provisional. All we're talking is you go in this stack over here until we find out you're good. And once you're good, boom, you're in. But if you're not, it doesn't go in the mix because just like I said, Sammy Davis Jr.'s vote's going to count, and we can't get it back out after the fact. We've got other stuff to talk about on this. We'll do it right after the break. I've got him, Senator Jeff Howe on the Al Travis Show.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
amongst friends. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
I've got him, Senator Jeff Howe, on the program with us. Senator, it gets to a point where I keep hearing, don't worry about it, there's no real issue here. And then you ask, is there an issue? Have you looked? And they say no. You start smelling enough stinky garbage, you might be next to the garbage can. Here's the thing. They did that committee meeting, and there are two people that pled guilty in federal court. They've already pled guilty to registering 500 to 600 fraudulent voter registration applications. They weren't doing it for funsies. It sets, somebody needs the fraud, somebody paid them this, and here's what drives me nuts tonight. You maybe know the rule. They mentioned some company that paid these gentlemen to do it, but they wouldn't mention the company's name. But they did say the company gets like 99% of its funding through the state grants. So if it's state grants that pay them, why do I not know their name? Now, maybe they're not implicated. These are just two knuckleheads, but knuckleheads don't do this stuff for nothing. Somebody's paid them to do, you don't just sit down and write 500 for fun. Explain to me that if you can. I don't understand how they can say we don't need to look at this.
I can't explain feeding our future. I can't explain the autism thing. I can't explain. The thing is our whole system of government was based upon a moral and just and educated citizenship. That's what we were based upon. We don't have that any longer. I would say that we're not well educated anymore. I mean, people go off on tangents. I don't believe that we have a moral society, and that's where we're struggling because I don't think our system of government functions real well without being an educated moral society. And I think that's where we're struggling. And we got to put things in place, and we got to be double checking because people are looking out for themselves, and they're taking every chance they can to bend the rules in their favor.
But again, this is Steve Simon. He can come on the show anytime, and his people can come explain this to me. So now we know there are 500 to 600 of these fraudulent voters in 13 counties. We know it. We know that these guys just pled guilty. Why were you not going through
voter rolls and figure them out, right? Let's figure out who should and shouldn't. We all should want a good system that verifies that the people that should be voting are voting, and it should be easy to vote. It should be hard to cheat. Right now, it's easy to do both.
Yeah. And exactly. But my point is, he literally sits in this meeting saying, don't worry, there's no problem. We're doing fine. And we know 500 to 600 people in 13 counties are not legit. These two guys pled guilty. You now have to go through all of them. Find out who's got a citizenship. You should go through every one. I mean, we know that now.
This. How many have been prosecuted by our attorney general?
Well, that's the same with all the feeding our futures fraud and the rest. Our attorney general doesn't go after those. I'm telling you, right? He'll say he does. You tell me the ones he's got. This has all been this attorney general guy, whatever his name is. That guy's working overtime finding the fraud in Minnesota.
Yeah, that federal prosecutor's doing well as far as cleaning up the stuff. But our attorney general has been missing in action. I mean, he's gone after a few veterans groups in my area and some farmers. Because they haven't complied with something that they've been trying to comply with from the MPCA. I mean, they're trying to meet the rules, and they sick the attorney general on them. Why don't you go pay attention to what really is affecting our state?
And this is the real problem. The U.S. guy is finding these people doing $14 million, $20 million, $250 million. He can find those big number guys. How many people in Minnesota were smart enough not to take enough? Once you get into the millions, maybe someone will notice. How many people took a couple $100K out of any one of these programs? Just said, keep your head down. No one's going to look at us because we're too small. How many?
Jeez, wouldn't $50,000 help you a lot, Al? Wouldn't that, put you,
put me in a nice spot for
a new vehicle, pay off something.
That's my point. These people got greedy because it was so easy. That's how they get caught. Those that were smart enough just think, you know what? And it's that right, autism thing. I'm not putting down I got 25 kids a day. I ain't got that kind of work. But if I put 5 down, I'm making some money. I'm good. I don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be much more we're going to find it. Senator, I'm out of time. Very excited to somehow meet you and your loving wife sometime tomorrow up in your neck of the woods. That's as vague as I'm going to get.
We're going to get it set up. I tell you what, I'm texting folks right now. Hey, can we smoke a cigar on your patio?
There you go.
And they go, yes, no, maybe, I'll check. Yeah.
All right.
So we're working on it. So.
All right. Let us know. If you're in St. Cloud, let me know where I can go and do that. Al at AlTravisShow.com. Senator, I appreciate you a ton. Thanks for being here, my friend.
Always good stuff.
Senator Jeff Howe.